Hey friends, welcome back to Kiki's Closet. As you can see, we're not in my closet, and we're certainly not in New York, and that's because I'm coming to you from Houston, Texas, baby, where we just opened up Theater Under the Stars' production of Sister Act at the Hobby Center as part of their homecoming season. Today we're gonna chat with some of my amazing coworkers on what it's like being back on stage after 18 months away. Let's go!
Come on and come and play in Kiki's Closet today.
On a quick break from the convent, please help me welcome my castmates and friends. Anthony Alfaro, Alan H. Green, Simone Gundy, Joline Mojica, and Raven Troup. Hey everybody, welcome to Kiki's Closet. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. I know you're so sick of my face because we just spent the last 4 days doing 10 or 12s for our beloved Sister Act, but I'm really grateful that you're all here. My first question is for everybody. I want to know, what color is your heart today?
My heart is turquoise today.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with a very vibrant red. She's beaten.
My heart is blue today. Blue for the throat chakra. I'm saying all the things that I want to do. I'm not holding back.
I'd say my color is brown, like my face, because brown is like a mixture of a bunch of different colors, right? That's how I feel today. There's like many a thing going on.
I feel like amber is the color of my energy.
You're 18 months off of the stage. What has it been like getting to be back in a rehearsal studio and back on stage in a big Broadway musical?
It's all a little overwhelming, right? And I've been lucky to kind of work through the pandemic. So I did some outdoor concerts up in Massachusetts and filmed a couple things. But this is the first time I've been back inside a theater where people are going to be inside. And of course, the Hobby Center is just beautiful. And of course, you know, to be able to like bring the show to my hometown peeps. I have to say, when we got on stage that first day, I wasn't prepared to be emotional because, like I said, I've been working a bit, but I was very moved. And I was thinking about my dad, who's not here anymore, and just growing up here and just how excited I am to bring this show to my hometown folk.
It was an emotional experience when we took those first few steps on stage.
The pandemic was very dark. Theater essentially disappeared. In addition to not just our livelihoods not being here, we were fearing for our lives, for our families. And so getting to be back on stage in a show that I personally have auditioned so many times for, at some point I thought this is the one that's going to get away. So to finally be doing this role in a dream space, right? Tuts is just one of the best regional theaters in the country with a company that's so talented and giving. It was very overwhelming. And, you know, like Alan, you know, my father's also not here anymore. And this is the first show I'm doing since my father passed. So I think I really felt very overwhelmed by the gratitude of it all. It is so beautiful to see theater really bursting to life.
I'll be the one to say it. My stamina is down. Oh my God. I am so tired.
Ditto to what Raven said, man. That endurance and that stamina is down right now, like crazy. But if anything, if I could be tired of anything right now, I'm grateful that it's on this stage and playing this role and doing what I love.
I also do like wedding band singing, event singing. I have my own rock band. It was a little different in the city. It wasn't until like the spring where those kind of things started to come back. And then all throughout the pandemic, I feel like the initial blow was so painful. I was actually rehearsing a production of Sister Act at the Paper Mill Playhouse that week that Broadway shut down. So, you know, I was in Times Square feeling my Broadway star fantasy, and, you know, they just shut the whole mother down. So that was really horrifying and traumatizing. I feel like in the theater, and I'm sure you guys will all agree with me, there's a kind of thing of like upward movement and lateral movement. And I felt like I was kind of on an up and up and up. And I was like, oh, I'm really heading towards my goals. And then it was like, boop, bye. So that was really painful. But I feel like once I kind of processed that pain, I was able to kind of come to a new place in my artistry. I feel like I've lived kind of multiple lives from that person who was in that rehearsal room when everything shut down. And I feel like I'm kind of a different person now. So then to come back to the same show, and a show that I've done multiple times before, and to be in this new space, it gave me a really awesome sense of perspective as to like what it is that we're doing here, right? It's like, You know, you can dissect it a whole bunch of ways, but at the end of the day, we're really telling a really beautiful and also wonderfully silly story that is really just, its main purpose is to make people happy, right? To make people laugh, for them to enjoy really awesome music, for them to enjoy, you know, the fabulousness of the 70s. It also feels really kind of cosmic too, and kind of magical in a way that this is how it all worked out. And, you know, there's something about this show, it just attracts really amazing people. And this cast, I feel like is almost the greatest example of that I've seen. You know, everyone is just such a doll. And we're all kind of sharing in this kind of collective, like, oh my God, we're back. Like, we're doing it. It's just really beautiful. And I feel really blessed to be doing this with all of you.
And there's something so special about doing that finale where everyone is on stage together. And the last thing we say is spread the love around. And boy, do we need to be doing that right now. Touch has been so wonderful in making sure that we feel comfortable and safe. We're getting tested 3 times a week. We wear masks during rehearsals and backstage. But it's also been challenging. Joline, you worked all around the country. What has been the biggest challenge jumping into this new world?
So we are athletes that are out of practice, right? We haven't been moving our muscles, so to speak, in 2 years. For some of us, a little longer than that. So the idea of phonating and singing and taking breaths, you know, all of the technical elements of the pedagogy of singing, right? And then you put a thin layer of cloth in front of your face, and it just feels like you are singing in a vacuum. Your sound goes, you know, maybe a quarter of an inch past your mouth, if that. So I feel like the biggest challenge, at least in the first couple of days, was the adjustment of, first of all, the heat and the sweat and maskne, let's not discount that, awful. But also feeling like I was over singing, I was overcompensating, I was almost overacting because I felt like, well, you can't see my choices. Like, I just have to be this big. And Alan made such a great suggestion that first day of rehearsal, saying, you know, don't oversing. The instinct is going to be, well, they can't hear me, so I have to do it louder. And that's just to the detriment of our instruments and our voices and our bodies. So the adjustment of that within the first week was tough. And then I think we sort of got into our groove. We understood what the deal was. And then moving into the theater was a whole other beast because now we're adding the elements of, you know, costumes and this and that. And you have to have your mask on backstage, but not when you're on deck. So it's challenging. It's a little bit of this business, you know.
Now, Simone, you worked at this theater before. You're no stranger to Tuts. What has been your favorite part of playing a strong, beautiful, fabulous baby Black woman?
Well, I play one of those in real life, and Tuts is definitely a second home. I've been working with Tuts since like 2018. It's just been such a great relationship and connection to have. But as far as getting to play this role, my band leader, he always comes to the show. He said to me, he's like, it's so funny because every time I come see a show, I'm like, oh, that role was meant for you. Oh, that's like you. And then I come see the next one, and then it's like, oh, that's like you. So I think this one, though, I think I'm doing the least amount of acting I've ever done. For this role, I'm not going to lie. It's very similar to my personality. She's so goofy. She's so big and full of herself, but not in a narcissistic way, in a way where she just wants other people to believe it as much as she does. She just wants other people to feel like, yeah, you are a star. Like, I get it, girl. I think I can definitely relate to it in that way where I don't want to be Beyonce. I don't want people flashing stuff down the street. But I want, when I perform, I want you to stop and I want you to listen and I want you to take notice.
What I've really loved about our production is how diverse the company is. And I love seeing Sister Mary Robert being played by a Black woman. I've never seen a person of color play that part before. And seeing the dynamic between Dolores and Sister Mary Robert takes on a whole new meaning. What is it like getting to step into a role like that, Raven?
I'm really flattered to be getting put in these tracks because they're not typically played by Black performers. And playing this character is actually, it does give a lot more gravity to the relationship between the two of them. It hit different seeing the blossoming of the relationship because it seems like I'm getting a Black woman mentor for the first time in my life in the show.
I mean, even looking at the song Raise Your Voice, we have Dolores teaching a young Black woman how to lift her voice higher. I mean, it really does take on a whole new meaning. Now, Alan, having been a part of the original Broadway company, how have the last 9 years impacted the way you look at the show?
The show is just so dang joyful. Not that I forgot, because I look at the year and a half that I did Sister Act, that was definitely a highlight in my career because we literally just had so much fun. And so many of those people are still very close friends of mine. What we do intimates us. But when you get intimated through joy like this, it's a glue that really bonds you together. And so coming back to the show and experiencing it with completely new people, but having that same joy, it's like, man, this show just needs to be done everywhere all the time. And why isn't the original show still running? That's actually what it makes me think.
Amen. I think jumping, as we've spoken throughout this, this interview, jumping back into this process has been scary and exciting and overwhelming and all of the emotions. But for my final question, I want to know, what hope has this process given to you about the future of our business?
The biggest thing that I'm hopeful for is action. People putting their money where their mouth is. People really stepping into the conversations that we've been having for the past year about, violence against the AAPI community, the death of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter movement, and really infusing it into our art in a meaningful way. Everywhere from, the creative teams to the backstage to the actors on the stage, giving people a chance. And I think this company is a really beautiful example to step into that. I think oftentimes we get our directives with casting choices directly from Broadway. And while that's wonderful, there's a different way to look at the world, right? And there's a way to look at the world that can be reflective of the audiences that are watching these shows. And that's really important, that the people who come to see the shows feel seen on the stage. I'm a Latina playing a role that was originated by Kathy Najimy. It's very thrilling to see a different interpretation of a story that's been told time and time again.
I'm just so excited to be back in the space, and this is all the hope I needed, just getting physically back into a theater and doing the work, like, instead of doing it digitally or just having it not happen at all, which hurt. I'm so optimistic right now moving forward because we did it. We got back. Oh my God.
My general hope just for the craft is that it just becomes re-energized in such a new way.
I hope that we get to a point where the optics is a non-conversation, that it's not brave, that it's not some risk that somebody's taking to cast somebody as something else. I just hope that it gets to a point where we don't even notice that and we just say, oh yeah, Joline was fierce in that role. Oh, she's not white? Oh yeah, that's not what this is about. It's about the talent and putting the right people where they should be.
I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about from doing this is accepting of people for where they are and then working with that, as opposed to having some kind of thought about what it should be and then pushing everything towards that. I feel like the thing that's so fun about this show with this cast is that even though people fit their parts like a glove, there's just something, I feel like everyone brings their own kind of oomph to it. And then in addition to it, I think just the amount of kindness and grace that we've all kind of come in. I'm always appreciative of a good vocal, honey. Someone's gonna slay me a joke and a vocal and do a high kick. I'm always gonna be like, yes. But I feel like the energy in the room, every time anyone gave out a riff or that pitch was right in the center, you could just see it on everyone's faces that they just were like living for each other's performances. And I think that gets lost a lot when we do theater back to back to back, show to show to show, 8 shows a week, long contracts. So I think that this time away gave me a newfound appreciation for what it takes for the human body to do that.
It really has been such a wonderful experience. And if you're in the Houston area, we're running until November 14th. You can find more info at tuts.com. Thanks so much to my amazing guests for chatting about the show and about the magic of theater. And I love you and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Come on and come and play in Kiki's closet today.